Our chief guest, PS Ministry of Housing, Mr. Tirop Koske, chief executives, directors, and senior representatives from the real estate and capital markets sector, senior government representatives, representatives from the media, and colleagues from the Capital Markets Authority. Welcome. I think it's a very genuine honor for me to be opening this key industry stakeholder workshop, looking at the Real Estate Investment Trust framework that we've put in place as the Capital Markets Authority. With the groundbreaking for the Konza Technopolis that was officiated by His Excellency the President yesterday, there would not appear to be a more opportune moment for us to be having these engagements, looking at the implementation of an effective framework with regard to financing of real estate investment through the capital markets. Taking into account the kind of investment that will be necessary to take a greenfield such as Konza and turn it into the heart of the Silicon Savannah that's been envisioned by the Vision 2030 will call for very significant resource mobilization. And we feel very strongly as an industry, and following the very active engagement we've had with stakeholders from the capital markets as well as the real estate sector, that the capital markets can actually provide a very useful and responsive tool to provide that kind of funding. As the authority, we remain very conscious of the fact that at least 70% of the funding that's going to be called for the Vision 2030 flagship projects will need to be drawn from the private sector. Now, it goes without saying that the capital markets are the central conduit for that kind of mobilization of capital for purposes of long-term investment for all the flagships, be they in infrastructure and health and other sectors. Now, this initiative with respect to Real Estate Investment Trust is only one of a raft of reforms and new developments we are driving forward as the capital markets in conjunction with the newly constituted Capital Markets Master Plan Steering Committee, which is looking at putting in place a clear and strategic milestone document to look at the development of our market over the next 10 years. Ladies and gentlemen, the authority is extremely pleased to note that the framework we'll be discussing today is actually the product of stakeholder engagement. Many of the faces that are in this room have been working very closely with the authority for the better part of a year and a half to make sure that the solution we're developing is actually a solution for Kenya. Real estate investment products have existed across the world for in excess of almost 40 years. But the fact is the needs of Kenya and the specific structures that will be most responsive to Kenya can only be designed in Kenya. So we've gone to very great lengths to make sure we were not just adopting practices from elsewhere. We were building from the ground up based on an appreciation of what we need to achieve as a market and what areas we need to achieve growth in. Now, throughout this process, I'd like to just specifically recognize the exceptional support we received from the Industry Working Group on Real Estate Investment Trusts, which drew its membership from fund managers, property developers, real estate agents, the Institute of Surveyors, Institute of Valuers and Architects, law firms, and a number of accounting firms. I think given the underlying policy that has driven the development of the real estate framework, we must also recognize the excellent support and cooperation we've received from our key ministries, including finance, planning, housing, lands, local government, Nairobi Metropolitan, the State Law Office, Kenya Revenue Authority, NSSF, and National Housing Corporation, to really make sure that as we're designing, we are continuously being conscious of the focus and aspirations of the Vision 2030. Now, our key rationale for calling this industry workshop is to give us an opportunity to build greater industry understanding of the framework that is currently awaiting enactment through the Ministry of Finance, as well as to address your questions with regard to implementation of the same. Given the previous engagements we've had, I think a significant majority of the attendees today have actually had the benefit of walking through us step by step to look at how we have refined and readjusted the framework to address your various concerns. And we hope to build on that through the session today, with a view to helping each and every one of you better understand which key role you and your organizations will play in the ultimate delivery of the Real Estate Investment Trust framework. Now, our session today will be facilitated by the consultant who has been working with us throughout this process. Her name is Mrs. Carrie Adby, who is a lawyer and investment banker, who has extensive experience in real estate and securitization transaction structuring in the US, Australian, European, and Asian markets. Ms. Adby has been very instrumental in working, I think, both with the industry as well as with the board of the authority to help us streamline and cater this product to facilitate what you'll see as a two-tiered approach to collective investment in real estate development, either in real estate development or pooling of investment for in income-generating real estate. Now, with those few words, I have the distinct honor of welcoming our Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Housing, Mr. R.E.I.T.S, to give us the keynote address for this event.